You want something you've never had before. You have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans, made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it, others don't.
We are in process of developing a whole series of techniques which will enable the controlling oligarchy to get people actually to love their servitude. People can be made to enjoy a state of affairs which, by any decent standard, they ought not to enjoy.
Perhaps you had better start from the beginning. Perhaps you had better start from the beginning. Perhaps you had better start from the beginning.
Too many kids are what's making planet worse.
A lot of these kids come from bad gene pools. They don't have stable parents making good decisions.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics. These new studies suggest that the opposite, that the preservatives may actually be associated with improved behavior and mental performance.
Fluoride in water is supposed to fight tooth decay, but could it also cause cancer?
Turns out the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions.
We have to work the dark side, or we're going to spend time in the shadows.
Any attempt to achieve world order must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
There's a need for a new world order. Someday, in the next few years, a solution will emerge.
Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. We're here live, coming back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. I'm Alex Jones. You have found it, the front lines in the info war in the fight for worldwide freedom and defense of our constitutional republic. Our websites are Infowars.com and, of course, PrisonPlanet.tv. And we'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, with Aaron Dykes. We'll be hosting InfoWars Nightly News this evening, and they'll have a rundown posted later in the day at Infowars.com with what's coming up. Now, I want to attempt, it's not hard to give him the floor because he's got a lot to say, to ask a few questions of Dr. Pieczenik and then have him just go through them. Obviously, co-author with many best-selling books with Tom Clancy. He's produced movies, TV shows, but he's less known for being involved in programs with the death of basically manipulating the communist of the Prime Minister of Italy, overthrowing other governments, writing psychological warfare manual for the State Department, running operations himself, including assassinations worldwide. So he's a real insider expert on what's happening. And we saw Dr. Pieczenik come out yesterday. We've seen Bob Baer, the former CIA Black Op field guy, come out and say this whole Iranian plot's totally fake to get us into a war with Iran. We've seen Colonel Schaefer come on earlier and say he's no fan of Iran, but this is totally staged. Then he has FBI sources that he met with again, who've got high-level security clearance in the FBI. They say it's totally fake. He was on with us for 30 minutes last hour, or the hour before that now. So much coming out, ladies and gentlemen. And you've got this big Iran expert from the last Bush administration coming out on CNN, you name it, saying it's all totally fake. Now we learn the affidavit that the guy was a mindless pothead, drunk car salesman. Not being bad being a car salesman, but that's what he was. And he was trying to do a drug deal. It was all just made up. The informant just made it all up. That's all coming out in the news. But Representative Peter King and others say this is an act of war, launch a war, that we're being told more Iran stuff's about to come out. So my questions are, why is this happening now? Is it just a smokescreen from Fast and Furious and Obama shipping guns into Mexico and drugs back in? That's in the federal court documents. They're hoping the media doesn't look at that. It's public. We've posted links to the federal courthouse showing it. Or is it about getting Netanyahu out of trouble? Or is it all the same? The global financial meltdown? Do they need a war? What is happening here? And is it good news that we're seeing, I counted up yesterday and today, more than 60 former and current top analysts, Pentagon, CIA, State Department, all coming out and going against the teleprompter readers. They're all saying war, 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 Iran wants to get us. But all the analysts, I mean, I'd say 90% I've seen are saying this is total baloney. I can't think of a time where I saw that. I mean, that really, I talked to Colonel Schaefer earlier. He said his Pentagon sources say they don't have the assets. Even if they wanted to do it, it's not happening. But other sources like Ray McGovern, who was on earlier, he says the word is they're really going for it. So let's see what Dr. Pieczenik has to say. Sir, you've got the floor for the balance of the 22 minutes we've got left. You heard my questions. Please try to address them as best you can.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank your audience. Number one, I think the fact that 60 to 70 analysts came forward is in part, you have to take some credit that at stations, that people like you and others who are willing to brave the psyops of not just one administration. We're going all the way back to the Clinton administration, which did the rendition. By the way, Bill Clinton reaffirmed that his wife was correct about the assumptions. This is one of the biggest pathological liars in the world, reaffirming another pathological liar's statement. So you see what we have, a compounding pathological liars. Then we have Bush Jr., who made up all of the 9/11, standout false flag, distorted the intelligence data coming in to invade Iraq, and now you have Obama following in the course of Bush Jr. and Clinton and what's happening in the United States. And I'm very proud of our analysts, our intelligence operatives out there, and particularly the military who have said this is enough. Many generals and colonels and non-commissioned officers can't stand out right now because they don't want to be called on charges of treason. I do not speak on their behalf, but I do as a former veteran, a former colonel, retired, say the following. It is enough. The American public is disgusted with the elected officials, both Republicans and Democrats. What we have not heard was any one of the Democratic senators, congressmen standing up and denouncing what was a clear travesty of justice. At the same time, I have not heard Romney or Perry say anything let alone Perry, who's the governor of your state. And by the way, we do have an invasion, but ironically, it's not Iran, because Iran doesn't need to invade us. They do not have targeted assassinations here. The targeted assassinations I dealt with in Iran with the MEK, which is called the Mujahideen, and we have people like the former FBI director, Free, and others, including Howard Dean, supporting the delisting of a terrorist group, which is literally a terrorist group, killed a lot of my operatives in the 1970s and 80s in Tehran, who are, in fact, assassins. I don't excuse Ahmadinejad, I don't excuse Khamenei, but I have worked against them, but I have worked effectively against really an assassination group, which is and still is the Mujahideen. So what we have here is distortion, psyop, disinformation. What we have on the other side, the incredibly great news, is that you, and I give you a lot of credit, and your audience, and the 10 million people are listening, that they're being informed, and that the alternative media, which is what we're considered, or the conspiracy group, which is what we're titled, is really, in fact, the mainstream media. And the people that you see, and I was quite impressed that CNN did bring in an analyst who announced this. I was very impressed that Abramson, the new editor-in-chief of the New York Times, did run this article on this wayward bum, really Iranian, who no Iranian official or operative would ever use this type of individual to engage in any form of counterterrorism or terrorism. Now, the issue there was, it was so obvious because the DEA is an organization which should have been evaluated and literally downsized very quickly. It is a corrupt, ineffectual organization. I have dealt with them in Panama and elsewhere. They play double tricks. They double every agent. They themselves are exceedingly corrupt, but nobody monitors them. And our congressmen and senators are not capable of monitoring them, as is the ATF, another organization that has absolutely no utility whatsoever. We've talked about the CIA and the fact that they've been out of control for a very, very long time. I've said repeatedly that Obama's parents had nothing to do with the false birth as much as his mother was CIA, his grandfather was CIA, and his grandmother. The question is, this president does not belong here. He has shown repeatedly that he is incapable of managing a domestic economy. He is shown incapable of running and understanding what it means, a health care program, and he has been in bed repeatedly with the bankers. And the worst banker of all and the worst wealth manager was Warren Buffett, who's now playing an amazing game of psyops with the young protesters in New York and Chicago. This is a man who claims that he will increase his taxes, and of course only paid 17% of his taxes, that he would need $69 million, but didn't tell anybody that he also invested in the Bank of America at $5 billion with an 8% interest. He didn't tell you that he owned 40% of Moody's, which went under, and he was guilty of criminal activities, but was never indicted.
Well, so he gets the banker bailout money, but Steve. Out,
no more war. No more.
No, go ahead.
And we want jobs. It's very simple. If they were recruited as we were in the Vietnam days, eras, they would have been violently fighting with the police and the military. And they would have said, this is enough. They are not being drafted, but in fact, their entire future is being co-opted by a man who has never served our country, Obama, who never will serve our country, who has always been a panderer, a liar, and ineffectual. And now to have placed another element of disinformation on top of the Osama bin Laden stupidity, which was beyond disinformation and a total disrespect for our special forces who, in fact, have been involved in 24/7 operations all over the world. And that's not to denigrate the SEALs, because the SEALs are quite formidable. For Admiral Mueller to make a show and tell out of this, a man whose father was an agent in the William Morris Agency or a publicist, and to promote his own self-aggrandizement by touting SEALs who, in fact, never did kill Osama bin Laden, because the man's been dead for 10 years. What we have here is a problem in civilian control. What we have repeatedly has been the failure of the political establishment, starting from the Clinton era to Bush Jr., to the Obama era. And that failure, it delegitimizes the political entity, whether you're Republican or Democrats. I do not see a very helpful future in our politicians. I have not seen Romney or Kaine or Perry stand forward. Above all, in your area, for example, you are now being occupied in Austin, Texas, and you probably know this, Alex Jones, by one of the cartel members, which is called the Familia Michoacana, the FLM cartel, which is literally in Austin, Texas. They are trading in drugs. I have not heard a DEA official. I have not heard a CIA official. I have not heard Governor Perry say anything about the fact that you have an active cartel